everybody. It's me again. I'm gonna do a re-review of the thing because apparently I did a re-review of the thing, but my audio was out of power and just fell out somewhere between reviews, and the audio was so bad people couldn't hear it. So I really want to do this again because it's my second favorite horror movie of all time. First being Halloween of John Carpenter. This also from Carpenter, but I actually like all Carpenter's horror movies. Also a Showdown Little China. I'm a big fan. Just all Ghost of Mars and The Ward, that's not my thing. But the movies where he had creative control over are really big fans, because the thing back then in 1982 when it came out was a big flop, and basically people weren't ready for that. And Siskel and Ebert were the top reviewers of that time, and I don't know, the guy with the glasses, was he Ebert or Siskel? He was the annoying one. You got taller one, he was more the open-minded one. And they couldn't. I don't know, I think their stand about Halloween is still one of them, like just senseless killing. But the movie made like, what, 50, $80 million on a budget of $320,000? I mean, they wanted Peter Cushing for the job of Loomis. He scoffed it down. He made those cheesy Hammer movies with Vincent Price and Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee was also asked for Loomis, but he turned it down. He regrets it now, but Donald Pleasance and Michael Myers does a great job, and that's why, if you ask me, The Thing or my Halloween, it's a close call, because The Thing has a little bit meat to it, more meat to its bone. The U.S. Antarctic base has about 12 characters. The only known actors I know is Kurt Russell, being McCready, the helicopter pilot, and Childs. What he does in the movie, I really don't know. I think he's a technician, in charge of weaponry and things like that. Keith David also plays in They Live from Carpenter. He apparently was supposed to be played by a guy named Roger Mosley, Keith David, but he turned it down to play Magnum. Okay, but Keith David was a way better choice. Now this movie, this is gonna spoiler. It's gonna be a spoiler movie. If you've never seen this movie, shame on you. But in all seriousness, it's a great movie. It's, even if you're, let's say, if you're not a horror guy, it's not for you. If you're just a moviegoer who likes everything, it's for you. Even when you don't watch a lot of horror movies, definitely for you, because this movie is great. It's so well acted. All these characters are fleshed out. You've got, like I said, Kurt Russell, the helicopter pilot. Childs, let's say the technician. Palmer, he's I think he's also the driver of the trucks. So you've got Blair, the science officer, scientific officer. You've got Bennings, who's in charge of the weather and the temperatures and things, the storms, when storms are coming, things like that. Windows, who's in charge of the radio transmissions, and Gary being the leader of the complex. He has a revolver with these, like a cowboy with a belt with bullets, maybe being a former military man or a cop, don't know. He's the guy who always is always wearing this revolver. So a lot of people. Clark, he's the guy who's in charge of the dogs, the huskies, feeding them and things like that. The movie starts out with a helicopter, a Norwegian helicopter. The driver is following a husky that is running towards the Antarctic base, the US base, and another guy is firing with a sniper scope, with a rifle with a sniper scope, then starts to drop grenades on it. Now they land in front of the US base. The dog comes to Bennings, licks Bennings, and the pilot does something stupid. He wants to throw a grenade, backhand, but loses it mid backhand throw. It falls in the snow. He wants to bury it out. Of course, he explodes with the helicopter. That's one Norwegian down. The other Norwegian basically spoils the movie. If you know Norwegian, I'm gonna say what he said. He said, "That's not a dog, get away from it. That's something, get away from the dog. It's dangerous, get away, you idiots." And he fires, shaves Bennings, the bullet shaves Bennings' leg, just a flesh wound. He goes through the guys. It was clear that he didn't want to shoot these guys, but he accidentally scathed Bennings' leg with a bullet. Then, of course, Gary, with his pop gun, his revolver, pops him through the eyes, gone the Norwegian. So after this, they're learning about who's the guy's name. He had a tag. They know there's a Norwegian camp, an hour of flights, and they're asking McCree to go to that base. In the meantime, the dog is roaming free. Clark is letting it roam free, and you see when the dog is roaming free in a hallway, you see that it's entering a room with a shadowy figure, and that looks exactly like Norris, one of the crew members. He has this curly, almost afro kind of hair, a fro, and wears these thick flannel shirts, and he looks to the dog. Of course, at that point, the dog will assimilate with Norris. They actually used a different actor for that shadow, but it still looks like Norris. And the cool thing is that you don't really listen to it, but Knowles in the kitchen is playing, I think from Stevie Wonder, the song of Superstition, which is, the theme of the movie. Superstitious, paranoia, that's the theme of the movie. Isolation. Then they go to the Norwegian camp. They find a bloody axe in the wall. They find it burned down, a bloody axe in the wall. They find this big block of ice where the thing was in. They find a body a guy who committed suicide, cutting its wrists, and the blood is basically became a blood icicle because the blood froze. So, and I have to say, in the prequel of this movie, which wasn't really good because of the extreme use of CGI for the things, but they did put those details, so the attention of details was pretty good. The axe, the block of ice, the guy who commits suicide, things like that. But the use of CGI was just too much and not so good, and here it was all Rob Bottin, the special effects guy. He did The Howling. He did other movies too. I'm not on top of my head. I can just say, but Stan Winston did the dog when the husky is put in the kennel and becomes a thing. It starts to assimilate the other dogs. That monster was created by Stan Winston because Rob Bottin was just burned out by working 24/7 on these creatures. They put in Stan Winston, who also made the Alien Queen in Aliens, so he's a guy who knows his stuff. We see that shotguns don't work. McCree is shooting it. Sorry. Oh. So it's shooting it multiple times, but it doesn't work. So they're calling in Childs. But he's actually, McCready is also, pulled back by Clark. He doesn't want his dogs get hit. One of the dogs gets hit by the shotgun blast. They open the door. Two dogs run away. And Childs standing there with a flamethrower in shock. And you see like a tentacle with a mouth going towards Childs, and Childs just in time fires the flamethrower, and we know flame kills it. But you have to completely turn it into dust, because we know they also find in the Norwegian base a thing with a melted two faces together. We also see that thing happening in the prequel. Created the thing, the creation of that thing. That's how it's there. It's burned, but not completely. Apparently, it still has some DNA in there that's still alive, and of course that DNA, so Bennings, Windows, are putting everything in the storage room with the body of that creature. And they're saying Windows says it shouldn't be just burn it completely, and then Bennings says that's gonna win somebody the Nobel Prize. So Windows goes away, and of course comes back and sees Bennings being assimilated by the blood that was dripping on the floor from the thing. And then of course we get that awesome scene that Bennings is trying to run away, but it's not completely assimilated yet. He put different clothes on, so you know that the thing tears through the clothes of the assimilated person, and you see it still has weird alien-like hands, and it screeches like the screech in the Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the 78 movie that I'm gonna review too. A creepy screech. Dump the bottle of kerosene, flare it, and just burn it completely. They burn the rest of it, but there's this debate about who. So the doctor of the just can't remember his name. The doctor of the compound suggests, how can we know who's the thing? So the paranoia is already starting, right? He says through a blood test, maybe, and they have all bags of blood for everybody in the compound. So they go to the locker's open, blood is just dripping out, it's useless now. But the only ones who had the keys were Gary and the doctor, usually, but he gave it back to Gary. But Windows had the keys too. You see Windows playing with keys when he's going back to the room where Bennings is being assimilated, and he drops the keys and runs away. This was the perfect time for Norris, maybe even Palmer, but Palmer was assimilated by, I'm assuming, Norris at some point, because Knowles, the cook, finds dirty underwear in his closet, which is long johns, a pair of long johns with the name tag ripped off. That was probably Palmer's. So he took the keys, he took advantage of the situation, went to the blood, destroyed the blood, and that's my theory of who got to the blood. So yeah, and that's the point, when then Blair, of course, sees that, how many crew members of the base would be infected, 75%. Then he sees, what if the creature goes to arrives at, the population, that he says 27,000 hours for complete assimilation. He becomes crazy. He's actually right in a way, because he's not a thing. He just goes mad and he destroys a helicopter, the trucks, everything you can get out of there, and he destroys where Windows is in the communication room. So you can't communicate, you can't get away. They subdue him, put him in a shack somewhere in the snow, give him food and things like that. We also know that at some point they are visiting him because everybody has to eat from their own food. Fuchs, the assistant of Blair, the science assistant, eating out of tin cans, drinking from your own bottles, because small assimilation can maybe infect you. But that's not really true in this movie, because the dog licked Bennings, didn't become one, and Blair, when analyzing the dog creature, he puts the dog, he has a pen with a eraser on it, and puts the eraser on. That's not a thing, that's a dog, which had a dog head from the assimilation in its body, and he puts it back on his mouth. So, but he's not a thing yet. He becomes a thing because one of the two, Norris or Palmer, gets to him at a point where he even made a noose to hang himself, but then the noose is gone, and he says, I want to come back in. I'm much better now. I won't hurt anybody, I promise. That's the moment he's basically assimilated. I'm pretty sure of that. The thing is also so clever that they actually wanted to frame McCready, he has this separate shack, putting his long johns in the fireplace. He has a little fireplace where and Knowles finds it, cuts McCready's rope because it's snowing and snow blizzard, goes back, and they all think, okay, he's a thing now, we have to close the doors, but McCready has keys to get in, and they wanted to have a small lynching party, but of course McCready knows this, takes a stick of dynamite, puts a lighter on it, and he's threatening them to go back, way back, and then he ties everybody up, doing the blood test. You see Palmer's head. He's the only one. Everybody's looking fried at him, because at this time Clark wants to attack McCready with a scalpel, because he wants to be the hero. He gets a gun shot through his head, which he got from Gary, because Gary didn't want to be in command anymore, so McCready took it. He said, I'm more even-tempered, because Childs wanted to take it. And he actually said Norris, but Norris didn't want to, and then Childs wanted to take it, and then McCready took it as we want somebody even-tempered, because Childs was a temperament guy, to a little bit unhinged at moments, right? So he shoots Clark between the eyes. The doc is also dead, because we know, so Norris gets a heart attack, because the thing just doesn't assimilate you. It also takes the sick things that he has with him, like a blood clot in his heart. He gets a heart attack. Then using the electropads, to shock him, and then again it opens his gut like a shark's jaw, bites his arms off, and he's like, oh, the arms are off, so it's a gory scene. Then it becomes a thing, they torch it, the head comes off, then you see the spider head of Norris, which is all cool, all practical effects, really cool. The weird thing is that Palmer at this time is a thing, and he points out the Norris head. It's like the things they don't have any morals. Like, if you are a thing, they will point you out to protect themselves. So the things weren't really, they helped each other until things got too hot, and then they basically ratted on each other to be more not be somebody who they could think, okay, that's gonna be a thing. He's the moral guy. So they do the blood test. Palmer is already looking down. He's not looking at McCready. The rest is looking at McCready. Palmer knows he's gonna get caught. The moment Palmer's blood is tested, we see the blood just popping out. Now at this moment, all windows was checked. The two dead guys, the Doc and Clark, was checked. Charles reminds McCready of him being a murderer. Then nobody responds. Then we see, of course, Palmer's blood squirting out, protecting itself, and then Palmer starts to vibrate, transforms, get loose, has these clampers of a head. His head splits open, has clamps like a crab claw. Now, Windows had the best flamethrower. McCready's was out of fuel or kaput or something, but Windows had the best flamethrower. He's standing there just looking at Palmer, and he of course gets grabbed by the claw head, up in the air, all the blood squirting out. Cool scene. Why didn't he blast him? Because McCready takes Windows' flamethrower, blasts Palmer, then of course blasts Windows because he's a thing. So we lost 4 people in like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, like a little bit more over 5 minutes time. So yeah, a kill that always has been thought that was off screen was Fuchs. So he's sitting in the lab, the lights go out, he goes to the main end hallway, he sees somebody passing by, he goes outside with a flare. Later on, they find Fuchs' burned body and the glasses, but actually, there's another scene where Fuchs is passing by in the snow, and there's a shovel in the snow. Apparently, Fuchs' first kill that was filmed, but not, you can't see the scene, but you can't see the picture of him shoving he gets a shovel pierced through his body and he's hanging against the wall like this. Got a picture of that. We'll put it in the description. I've got a lot of deleted scene pictures, so if you're interested, there is a scene with McCready holding a sex doll. Which apparently he didn't have sex with it, but there weren't any women, but he used it as a companion. He was sitting on his bed. He's holding it like this when he's playing the chess wizard. He's even going to the rec room, sitting on a bar with the sex doll. It's a weird scene. It's good that they cut that scene out, but you have 6 pictures of him with the sex doll. Also, Benning's dead is different, but that's a sketch, that's a drawing. So you've got a lot of interesting things. I'll put the site, it's a website, Google, you copy and paste it on Google and you'll find it. Also interview with Keith David, because we all know in the end when Keith David joins with McCready, he just killed Blair, the thing Blair that's simulated with Gary and Knowles. Then we of course get that horrible stop motion scene that was a little bit cheap, but I think that was the end and they wanted to finish it off. Charles comes and he has seemingly a different coat on. He doesn't breathe, he doesn't have a frost breathe from the cold, but Keith David explained that was because he was near the fire more. But then McCready gives the bottle, he drinks from the bottle, which was probably a bottle full of kerosene because they used Molotov cocktails to throw in the rooms of the compound to burn it and blow it up. So, and then he chuckles, and I think there's too much evidence because he ended it there. And if asked, the actor is like, even when the rescue team arrives, he was the thing, and he took it with him. There's, you know, a video game, a PlayStation 2 video game that is almost directly after the sequel. It's non-canon, but it's a rescue team of military soldiers, a rescue unit, 4 soldiers. They find Child's body, Bud, and McCready is still alive somewhere in the compound, hiding, because there are a lot of things still around apparently. And I believe Childs comes back as a thing. I'm not really sure. I have to look that up. But it's always been a mystery, and there are a lot of clues that Childs may be a thing. But even when asked to John Carpenter, he's always like, well, he's hiding something, because John Carpenter wanted to make a sequel. He still there's talks about a sequel now, in 2023. Still today, I'll copy and paste the article, and he wants to make a sequel, but he wants money, of course. He wants complete creative control, which he always had in his older movies, because he became a director for hire for Christine. I don't like Christine, a lot of people do, but I don't. And he made Children of the Damned, which is an okay movie, but it's not the best. But his own movie, when John Carpenter's The Thing, he wants to make a sequel right after it, and using frostbite, because to age people look older and really aged because of the frostbite. So that was his idea. He wanted to make a direct sequel to it. But the problem is producers, you know, finding the right guys and finding the right people. It's hard. It's hard because The Ward wasn't a success, because Mars wasn't a success. He's old, but John Carpenter, I mean Scorsese, Spielberg, they're also old guys, so, and they're making good movies, so he can still make a good movie. But who knows? There is a possibility it would come out. If they can make a prequel, they can make a sequel, so who knows? But yeah, this movie is great. It works on paranoia. Every actor, it's a 10 out of 10. Like Halloween, for me, is a 10 out of 10. Halloween has this one flaw in there. When Annie gets killed, you see her redubbing her screams. But this one doesn't have anything. And the Annie kill didn't bother me. But this one has... the acting is great. I mean, there's also a scene where Blair kills... I mean... Clark finds the dogs, and the dogs were killed by an axe, the remaining dogs, by Blair, because he killed everything that could be used to get out of there. I mean, there's so much behind the movie still. I thought that was the definitive movie, but there's still a lot of things that were, you know, a few scenes in there, and it's cool, it's cool. There's even a few deleted scenes. I didn't put them in the description, but I put the thing too. That was written by an article in there. I put the Keith David interview. It's a 4-minute interview about him being the thing or not, and I put the deleted scenes, the pictures, because I never knew that McCready had a $6 companion for us. You can really see it. And of course the kill of Fuchs, because it's good that they sort of got that out, because why would the thing kill Fuchs and not assimilate it, right? So, but I put it in there in the description. Just read it. I'll copy and paste. You can copy and paste it and watch it out. Watch it for yourself. Okay. Great movie. Super suspenseful. it's a 10 out of 10. If you really want to see something that's works on suspense and paranoia and isolation and creepy, watch The Thing. So see you next time. Bye.